What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the DX9 Atilla B version, or their version of a G2 Menasor. So we're going to be combining these guys today. We just took a look at this guy. He's pretty cool, actually. But now we're going to get them combined. I think I did a video on the full combination. I'm going to try to do kind of an abbreviated version of the combination. But let's get going. For the vehicles, they're pretty simple. They're actually going to attach just like this, but the arms do have to come apart. So if you pop out the doors on this guy, we can pull back on this section. And then you'll see there's a little sliding joint here. Actually, if you fold these out of the way, you'll see there's a sliding joint. You just slide that up. And that detaches. You can fold this in just to hide that away. Reattach those doors, and that's ready to go. And you can mount it with the gun on there if you want. So let's set those aside. And we can do the same thing for this one, actually. So this one's also going to slide apart. We can pop out that gun. We can open up these panels on the side. Lift this up. Go to the bottom here, and same thing. You see there's a joint right there. Just slide that down and detach this, and then you can reattach these side panels. And then this can actually stay down like this, and you actually leave this. This is the Jimmy H custom driver. You can leave that in there if you have something like that. It doesn't disturb anything. I like to put this over the elbow joint, so I just leave that out. All right, and this also is ready to combine. All right, for these two, pretty simple. This is going to be part of that combined joint, so have that ready. On this one, you do have to fold out this peg. It's actually pretty hard to get out. You're better off transforming it partially and then poking it from this side and having it come out, but you do have to untransform it partially to do that. But these two are basically ready, so set those aside. For this guy, we can fold the legs up. They do tab together, by the way. Then we can fold up the front there, unpeg the legs from this back wing section. We'll accordion this forward. Accordion this forward. These will store back up in here like this. We're going to bring this out, rotate this around, and bring it back down. There's a peg here and here, so this will sandwich around those pegs. And then you're bring this handle down and rotate it. There's the tab to fit into his hand. So depending on which hand you put it in. All right, so set that aside. Now we'll take care of the main event here. So again, we're going to separate this cab from the trailer. So you can open up these black pieces. That'll let you open up this, separate that. And let's take care of this part first. It's actually relatively easy. You're going to rotate this around. Looks like I already collapsed the smokestacks here. We're going to come to the bottom, unpeg these, fold these in, fold that in. This will accordion forward and sit right there. We're going to fold this cab in so it sits inside the small part of the trailer. There's rear view mirrors here that are going to peg into here. That's actually what holds this together. It's kind of an interesting transformation that it does that. And same on the other side, make sure you hit that slot. It all just squeezed together, and then close that up. And that's ready. This will be the back of Menasor. All right, now we get to the more challenging part, which is this guy here. So let's start up here. We can remove these actually become hip skirts. You can also lift up on these panels here. Those are unpegging from right here. Come to the bottom. We can unpeg this from both sides. Once we have that, we can separate the legs. And we can stand it up on those. We can come to the bottom here. We're going to fold down this foot. We can rotate this toe up, bring this down, fold this up, and then peg this foot together on the bottom. Pretty straightforward. Now that I say that, okay, there we go. All right, then we're going to take this panel and open this up, and it can be a little tricky to get it open. So what I like to do is grab a spudger, and I like to poke it from the other side to give myself a little leverage to pop that panel out. I just use the pointy side. If you can get in there, there you go. So you can pop that out. That will fold down. That'll allow you to extend the leg all the way down and then collapse that back down in the cavity that you left behind. And then you're going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll do the next step. All right, now that we have both legs extended, we can take care of this section here. You're going to fold the legs out, and then we're going to collapse down the hips, and that will lock this joint right here so that the hips sit outwards like this. You can bring these hip skirts down. You can straighten up the legs. Come to the back here, and we'll take care of this. Open this up. This will collapse down and tab in there. Same on this one. Open this up, collapse down, tab on the side. And then we're going to open up these. I'm going to rotate the thigh so you can see what I'm doing, but there's a little dial here. So you're going to rotate that dial. That'll allow a spring-loaded mechanism to open up here. So you're just turning it a quarter turn, and that should free up the spring to open up. All right. So we actually want this on the front. So that's the front of the leg, and then you can rotate the foot back. All right. So that's how you should be looking with the legs. Oh, actually, before we move on, there's a little panel here. You can rotate this out. It covers up a little bit. Not the most, useful, but it does cover up the hole ever so slightly. All right, now we can take care of the upper body and a couple of panels to undo here. So go ahead and open up this rear door and then fold it down on itself. Come to the side here, you have to get this panel out. It's a little tricky. I recommend you poke through from here. Give it a little bit of leverage. There we go. Open up this smaller panel right here on the front. And make sure you do the same thing on this side. Then we can take these wheels, and these will unpeg from here, fold down, and clip into here. Just store right there. You're going to take this panel right here. That's going to fold up, and again, you can use the spudger to get in there. Fold that up, and do that on both sides. And now we can start separating. So at this joint right here, it's kind of pegged into the top of the arms. So you want to get this unpegged from here. And this is going to slide underneath here. And then you can fold back this head panel. So that's how it should look. We're going to lift up here on this waist joint. Lift up on this. That's going to fold forward. Then we can come back to here. This can come back. Double hinge on these joints. And actually, before we close that, come to the front here. These panels will fold up and clip into place on the front. Same on this side. Fold that up, clip that on the front. Then you can come to the back, and this will clip in to the panel you just closed. So get this tabbed in. Don't close this top part yet. It should be looking something like that. While we're here, we're gonna go ahead and put this guy in. So this guy has 2 pegs on the top. They're gonna peg into holes up here. And then this is gonna slide in right here. So get that in. Get that pressed. Those pegs on both sides. There we go. You got it? So you should have these green pieces just sitting right here on the top. All right, on the top here, you're going to bring this panel down. Make sure these black panels are folded down. This is going to come down like this. Out. So extend them out on these. They're kind of tight, so. And these will come down, and you're going to open up these. These are going to rotate around. We're going to open up this arm. So unpeg this from here. Bring that all the way down. Open up your hand. Then this will come back up. And so like this. Rotate and bring the arm down. Oops. Don't bring the arm, rotate, but bring the arm down like this. And you'll see there's a peg on the inside, or a slot for a peg. Right here. And you want to get this tabbed into that once you get it pushed back up. There we go. So that's how it should be looking. And then same on this side. This section, open this up. That will peg in right here and here. And make his front chest section. Straighten up the ears, or fold out the ears. They were folded in. Fold them out. And we're looking pretty good. While we're up here, let's go ahead and take care of the arms. All right, so starting off with drag strip, we can take this section, the little tab here that's going to slide into here. And then once you get that in there, slide it down. And I mentioned earlier that I like to have this out. Now that they've painted this black, maybe it's not necessary. Then we can take the bottom section of drag strip here. 2 slots in the bottom part of the vehicle are going to tab into here. So just get those lined up. And on the top there is a peg that's sliding on. So slide on the peg and then slide on those tabs. The tabs can be a little tricky to get on, so you get a look. Alright, so that's one arm on there. Let's go ahead and do the other one. Same kind of thing. We'll take the upper section of Kukinski, slide it in. Nice red paint there. And then same thing for this. This will tab in, and you do want the feet are going inside of this arm slot. Slide that down, make sure those back tabs make their way in. They're a little tricky to see, so make sure you look. Alright, next we'll work on the legs, and this part's a little bit tricky. You do need this part that we got with the Menasor figure. This is going to slide down into here. And the way this one attaches, there's a peg here, goes into a slot there. And there's a peg here, which you had to fold out earlier, and that will go into there. Now this one's pretty hard to get to, so I recommend you open this. Use your fingers to hold this up. And again, make sure you have this pegged in here. And then get the bottom one in first. Give tension with your fingers on that bottom one. Then get the top one in. And the wheels have a little spot to go as well, so make sure those make their way in. And then once you've got that all set up, go ahead and close that up. And I knocked the spoiler off here, but that's basically it. So on this one, slightly different. There's a peg slot right here that's going to go on this peg. And then this one, you're going to feed this through here. There you go. And then once you get that straightened up and then get that top peg in, this one I find that you don't necessarily need to do the whole trick with the, getting it pulled down. But I do find it doesn't quite sit all that well. That panel kind of, gets rejected. So I don't know. Not the best connection point. It might be better off just taking this off, honestly, and putting that back, and then just using that top peg to hold the car on. It really just doesn't attach all that well. All right, and there is Attilla B version, or G2 Menasor, all transformed. And it looks pretty G2. It's got a lot of blue on it. I think I got used to having the cars on the front because I've got that upgrade kit from Sean Misselberg that allows you to put the cars on the front. Now, he has since stopped making that, so I'm not going to try to get that kit. But it definitely makes a huge difference having the cars on the front. But yeah, I mean, it looks really good. You got some purple paint here, translucent purple here for the chest, for the crotch plate, a little bit of purple paint here on the thighs. That looks really good. It's got painted elbows, which it didn't have the first time, so it matches the vehicle. I like that. That's a nice touch. No, same on this side. It's got the red, so that's a nice touch. Here's the back. It is unfortunate that these vehicles are on the back. You don't really get to see them. That is Menasor's design, so that's how it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, you just don't see them. But there's some nice contrast in paint overall on this guy with the red and the purple that I think it stands out enough to represent G2 pretty well. So let's go over articulation, but before I do that, I wanted to mention this head. It used to have a light up feature, but now there's just kind of a hole where the button was, so they've gotten rid of it. They did paint the eyes red, so that's nice, but they totally got rid of that and didn't really replace it. So head can rotate around, can go down to there, up to there. The ears can go in and out. Shoulder can rotate around on a ratchet joint, out to the side on a friction joint, which doesn't really hold, but the ratchet joint to the side does hold. So you can use that to get the shoulder up higher. Rotates up to there and it holds just fine. Elbow is a double jointed elbow, so you get the full bend out of it. That works nice. The hands are on a rotation, and you get individually articulated fingers. Not the strongest fingers for a combined figure, but it does work. You get a little bit of splay out on these as well. 1, 2 pins, and then, or 3 pins. And then thumb is on a ball joint and 2 pins. And while we're here, might as well show you the sword. 2 tabs here. Those will go into the hand right there. So you can just peg this in right here. And that holds pretty well. So I feel like maybe they've improved the tolerance on that. So that seems to work well. And before we get out of here, we can put the gun in the hand. Just rotate the peg to the side that you need. Then tab that into the hand. Same peg that we're using for the sword. And you can close the fingers around. And that's a pretty good looking gun as well. So continuing down, we've got a waist swivel here on a ratchet. It's a really tight ratchet. No ab crunch on these guys. Back then they didn't really have ab crunches on these things. Coming down the legs, you have hip skirts on the front and the side. The leg will kick up on a ratchet joint, go back to here, hindered by this back hip skirt that's in the way. You can get it out to the side, up to there. Things start to get a little wobbly when you put those legs out like that, so just be careful as you're putting it back. And I knocked the car off, and that's one of the issues. It's not the best connection, especially on this one. It tends to come out pretty easily, so just be aware that the cars sometimes will fall off these joints here. I forgot to mention there's a rotation at the thigh on a ratchet. We have a knee joint, gets you 90 degrees basically. And just watch out for this vehicle. I'll just set that aside for now. And then coming down to the feet, we have ankle tilt on a ratchet, rotation on the foot, and that's about it for those feet. And for size comparison, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime and the Fans Toys version of Road King, their version of Motormaster. And pretty nice big combiner here, towers over the other Masterpiece figures, so it works. And for another comparison, there it is next to the original DX9 Attila. And I do have some aftermarket stuff. I've got this Decepticon logo, and then I've got the kit to allow the cars on the front, so you can see how different that looks. But very cool to see both color schemes. I definitely miss having the cars on the front, but it does look good overall for a G2. And one more comparison, there it is next to the Fans Toys Ethereon, their version of Superion. And just so you can see, he comes up maybe another half an inch to an inch, maybe a half inch taller at the head. So I think these guys work together, but we're going to be getting this guy, his Fans Toys counterpart, soon. So we'll see how that turns out. But for now, here's how they look together. So final recommendations on the DX9 Attila G2 version. I'm going to give this a 4 to 5. I'm going to recommend it. If you're a fan of G2, I think you would enjoy this. This is a pretty stable combiner overall. I will say the arms are more stable than the legs. The legs don't have any issues as far as stability of the combiner, but the cars like to fall off. They like to get unpegged. And that's something that the first one had that issue as well. That seems like something they could have fixed on this version, right? They're putting it out, might as well fix it. They also could have included something to get the cars mounted on the front. That would have been a nice touch. I get it. It's a reissue. They're just, reprinting it to make money to make other figures. But still, it would have been nice to get something updated, upgraded. In fact, it just seems like a straight repaint with some things even like the light effect removed. So, while I do think it's a good figure, don't expect any really big surprises here. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.